Hey everybody, it is time now for my college football picks, my debut for 2012. This is when I pick a series of games against the point spread. And I'll be going against this guy right here. That's right, Abe Lincoln and Copper. We're talking about the almighty penny. A couple years ago, we had some fun with this. And actually, the penny and I both finished well above 500. And we actually finished the season in a tie. We'll see what happens this time around. Yeah, you're going down, guy. Now, let's go ahead and begin with the Friday game. You have Utah at Utah State. The spread is only a 7-point favorite for Utah, maybe because the Utes have that rivalry game against BYU the following week, and maybe the odds makers are leaning toward Utah looking ahead to that matchup. I think in this case, Utah is going to be focused. The running game and passing attack are going to be too much for Utah State to handle with Wynn throwing it and with Smith running for Utah. I'll look for the Utes to cover the 7 points. So give me Utah minus the 7. If the coin lands on heads, it likes the favorite. If it lands on tails, it likes the underdog. So let's go ahead and flip the coin here. Give it a good flip. There we go. And it's going to go with Utah State. Landed on tails. Now let's go to Saturday games. You have Texas Tech playing at Texas State. Last week, Texas State pulled off one of the big stunners of the college football weekend when they won at Houston. In fact, Houston's offensive coordinator resigned shortly after. That tells you the impact of that game. Texas Tech came off a win. They are an 18-point favorite. Now, if this game were in Lubbock, I would take the Red Raiders. But this is a road game, actually, for Texas Tech. So I think there's going to be points scored on both sides. I'll look for Tech to win, but I think 18 is too many to cover. So give me Texas State plus the 18, and the coin is going to go with Texas State. Now, Washington is at LSU. You talk about large point spreads. The Tigers are favored by 24 points in this one. It's a night game. They're playing at home. But remember, Washington's got a good offense and an offensive-minded head coach in Steve Sarkisian. Price is one heck of a quarterback for Washington. So this game could actually, in terms of the quarterbacks, give the edge to the Huskies. Even though I know LSU's going to win the game, don't get me wrong, the Tigers are still going to take care of business. But 24 points is a ton to try to cover in an early September game. So I'll look for LSU to win, but give me Washington plus the 24, and the coin is going to go with LSU. You have Georgia at Missouri, and the SEC debuted for the Missouri Tigers against a conference opponent. And I think all the emotion in this game will favor Missouri. They want to make a big impact early on. Georgia didn't look all that sharp in their ball game last week. They did get the victory over Buffalo, but they really had to fight to get it. This is going to be a tougher game than Buffalo, and I think Missouri's passing attack is going to be too much in this one. I look for James Franklin. I look for the Tigers to open up SEC play with the win. Give me Missouri, and give me Missouri plus the 2, and the coin is going to go with Georgia. So the coin and I aren't agreeing on anything. Let's go with Iowa State at Iowa for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. Both teams coming off wins last week. Iowa State, a little sluggish in the beginning, but looked better in the second half when their win over Tulsa, while Iowa really had to fight tooth and nail in their game, but did pull off the win. Usually, when it comes to these type of games, when it comes to this rivalry, in recent years, the home team has won, and this time the game is in Iowa City. I know Iowa State won last year in Ames, but I'm going with the home team in this one. It's a pretty tight point spread, but I look for Iowa to get the win and to cover the 4 points, and the coin is going to go with Iowa as well. You have Miami at Kansas State, and in 2011, it was a thrilling finish with Kansas State performing that goal line stand to deny Miami victory. This time they play in Manhattan. Both teams got off to slow starts last week, but looked better in the second half. I think in this ball game, it's going to be like last year's. It's going to come down to the end. Miami's problem last week against Boston College was defending the pass. Good news for the Hurricanes. They're going against a team that doesn't specialize in throwing the ball. So I think even though Kansas State, it wouldn't surprise me to see them pull out the victory. I think 7 points in this case is going to be too much considering how competitive I think this game is going to be. So give me Miami plus the 7. And I think the coin, in fact, I know the coin is going to go with heads, so it likes Kansas State. You have Purdue at Notre Dame. The Irish looked impressive in their opener when they beat Navy, but that game was in Dublin, Ireland, so they have to fly back overseas to the mainland, to South Bend, Indiana, to play against a Purdue team that's better than you might think. And in this case, you look at the point spread, 14 points. That is a lot. This is one of those ball games where I think Purdue is going to play toe-to-toe with the Fighting Irish. 14 points in this case is too many. I look for Purdue to cover the spread. Give me Purdue plus 14. And the coin is going to go with Notre Dame. Wow. You have Florida at Texas A&M, another SEC team making their debut. A&M didn't get to play last week because of Hurricane Isaac. So this is going to be their opener. And you know emotions will be high at College Station. Florida looked shaky against Bowling Green last week. I think the biggest difference in this game is going to be home field advantage. And if Jeff Driscoll, the Florida quarterback, can get on track, he really didn't last week. I look for A&M, just like Missouri, to win their SEC opener. So give me A&M plus the 1, and the coin is going to go with Florida. A lot of disagreements between the coin and yours truly. Then we have some games in the western part of the country. South Florida at Nevada. Both teams opening victories during the September 1st weekend. And in this particular matchup, I look at South Florida, a team that last week, despite winning, didn't run the ball particularly well. And last week in Nevada's game at Cal, the Wolfpack was able to defend the run very well on the road in that victory over a Pac-12 school. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. Nevada should be able to control South Florida's running attack. So I look for the Wolfpack to get the win. Give me Nevada minus the 1. That's almost a pick 'em. And the coin is going to go with Nevada as well. You have Nebraska at UCLA, a nationally televised game in primetime on Fox. And bad news for the Huskers, it doesn't look like Rex Burkhead, their all-everything running back, is going to play. Got hurt last week. But despite him not playing, UCLA is still going to have to contain Taylor Martinez, who could just absolutely burn them if they're not careful. Even though UCLA looked good against Rice last week, that was against Rice. And I think even though both teams are going to amass a lot of total yardage, I'm still not convinced that UCLA's defense has improved a whole heck of a lot from previous seasons. So I look for Nebraska to cover the 5.5-point spread, while the coin, in this case, give it a good flip, is going to go with UCLA. And then finally, we have Oklahoma State at Arizona. And right now, OSU fans, it does not look good as far as this game being televised in the Oklahoma area. Pac-12 Network has this game, and it doesn't look like an agreement between them or Cox or any of the satellite providers in the Sooner State has been met. So unless some deal strikes, at the midnight hour, it does not look like this game will be on TV, and that's a darn shame. Even though Arizona is going to present a much bigger challenge than Savannah State did, that was just an absolute embarrassment having Savannah State play against OSU last week, 84-0. Are you kidding me? I still look for OSU to win because of the fact that Arizona still gave up a lot of points and a lot of yardage against Toledo last week. Oklahoma State will be a much tougher matchup than Toledo. I look for Westland, and I look for the Oklahoma State Cowboy offense to be effective. I think Arizona, over time, with new head coach Rich Rodriguez, will be a fine team, but it's just his second game as head coach is Rodriguez for Arizona, so they'll still have a lot to learn. I look for OSU to win and to cover the 11 points in Tucson. And the coin, by the way, it likes Arizona. So the coin and I disagreed on just about every game for this week. So somebody's going to be unhappy when we review these games a few days from now. That does it for my look at college football games. Don't forget, I'll have my post game of OU and Florida A&M sometime Saturday evening, September the 8th. We'll see you next time.